Camouflaging yourself and your equipment to the environment around you is one of the most fundamental things you can do as an infantryman to help increase your survivability on the modern day battlefield. In this episode of Infantryman's Guide, we're going to be looking at different techniques to do just that.
Camouflage is the use of natural or man-made materials to change or disguise the shape and appearance of an individual, equipment, or position to conceal it. Natural materials include things like vegetation, rocks, and dirt, and man-made materials include things like paints, nets, and rags. Often, when people think of camouflage, they think of something like this: a sniper wearing a ghillie suit made of a mixture of artificial and natural materials, designed to completely break up the recognizable human silhouette and blend perfectly into its surroundings. Although very effective at doing just that, the ghillie suit is not a practical means of camouflage for the standard infantryman who needs to be as slim and light as possible and able to move quickly in different types of environments. The modern battlefield is a mixture of tried and true old camouflaging techniques along with technological advancements in night vision and thermal equipment. You must be prepared to face all these threats. Night vision and thermal equipment are great pieces of gear, but they aren't perfect. Good utilization of microterrain and heavy vegetation during movement can counter these threats, and eventually I can see a time in the near future where all combat utilities are made to defeat thermal optics. Additionally, thermal optics are expensive, and even the most well-funded militaries in the world do not have them fielded in large quantities to ground troops. Individual infantrymen must realize that still today, the number one method of detection is regular human vision. So with that being said, let's look at some techniques to increase an individual infantryman's ability to blend into the environment without sacrificing speed, mobility, and the functioning of his equipment. First, you must select an appropriate camouflage pattern that is suited for the environment for which you are operating in. Camouflage clothing helps break up the very recognizable human silhouette. In the case for the United States Marine Corps, this would be woodland marpat for wooded and vegetated environments, and desert marpat for arid, desert, and some urban environments. When applying camouflage, start at the top and work your way down. So let's start by looking at our face. The natural skin oils make exposed skin stand out. Skin will stand out at night if exposed to moonlight or illumination from a flare. To camouflage your face, you essentially have two options. First option is to wear some type of face covering or neck gaiter. In my opinion, unless it's a cold weather environment, this method is not ideal. The problem with this method is that no one will ever wear these items through the entirety of missions, unless they're short in duration. With movement, your face will heat up and you'll reach a point where you either remove it or not wear it properly. Thus your skin is exposed in the field, risking detection by the enemy. Additionally, these types of face coverings often lead to your PPE fogging up. This leads me to the second option, which is the application of camouflage face paint to tone down all exposed skin areas. Just like camouflaging a position, face camouflage is continuous. Over time, face paint will wear off your face from rubbing and sweat. You must reapply it as needed. There are numerous different techniques for applying camouflage face paint, but they are all trying to achieve essentially the same effect, and that is to make the face less recognizable to the human eye. The three most commonly used camouflage face painting techniques by the U.S. military are splotching, striping, and lastly, a combination that consists of both splotching and striping. The basic principles for each of these techniques are the same. Just like the camouflage utilities you wear, select colors that match the environment you're operating in. Using irregular patterns and or splotches, paint shiny areas such as your forehead, cheek, nose, and chin with dark color, and shadow areas such as around the eyes, under the nose, and under the chin with lighter colors. Next, let's look at headgear. The simple application of natural and or artificial camouflage to your head goes a long way. If you're going slick, a boonie cover typically already has a piece of webbing that goes around the head. Vegetation or camouflage material can easily be attached to plus up your camouflage.
A helmet is a very important yet very recognizable piece of equipment if not properly camouflaged. Always wear a helmet cover, or at the very minimum, have your helmet painted camouflage. On a helmet cover, you have slits that are on the helmet cover to help us assist with inserting foliage. If you have a helmet band, you can also use that to insert foliage. One trick that you can use is also taking an old piece of cami netting that you can drape over the Kevlar and using that helmet band to help secure that cami netting in place. Another thing you need to avoid is having a solid black NVG plate on your Kevlar. If at all possible, paint this camouflage to help break up the outline of that particular piece of equipment.
Your hands should be either painted or covered by gloves. Gloves will not only enhance your camouflage, but will help protect you from cuts, insect bites, and other minor irritations. Watches that are worn should be in a tactical color and not in a flashy high visibility color. Even if a watch is of a tactical color, caution should be taken when wearing a watch in that the watch's light, if activated at night, this will stand out like a bright flashlight through NVGs. To mitigate this threat, ensure that your watch is covered by your gloves, or you can even wear a watch band specifically designed to cover the watch. Moving on to your web gear, tape up all equipment that reflects light and makes noise. One common offender is typically a flashy D-ring or carabiner. You can also help break up your silhouette by adding some natural or artificial camouflage to your gear. Remember, you are not a sniper, you're an infantryman. Use just enough to help break up your outline, but do not do too much to compromise your mobility and functionality of your gear. Lastly, look at your boots. If they are too clean or shiny, you can tone them down by rubbing mud on them to help blend them in better with your environment.
Next to the human silhouette, probably one of the most recognizable things to the human eye is the outline of a weapon. Notice how much the all-black rifles stand out as compared to the camouflaged rifles. Unfortunately, many commands will not allow the painting of the weapon, but there are things that you can do to help break up its recognizable outline, such as using camoform tape, regular OD tape, things like jute burlap, as well as old camouflage material to wrap around certain parts of the weapon to help break up its outline. And here's a quick example using camoform to help break up the recognizable outline of the weapon. Just be cognizant of the fact that when you're doing this, you're not interfering with the actual functioning of the weapon. You're able to charge the weapon with the charging handle. Nothing's interfering with the actual cycling of the bolt. The magazine release isn't interfered with. Trigger mechanism, you're able to release a magazine and insert a magazine without any type of interference.
The reflective glass on weapon optics and binos can create an enemy target indicator. This can easily be fixed by using an anti-reflection device on your weapon-mounted optic and taping up the binos, leaving only a small slit to look through. Despite its appearance, this does not interfere much with your field of view. There's more to camouflage than just blending into your environment. If you do not have good noise and light discipline, it'll all be for nothing. Motion and noise naturally attracts attention. Thus, in order to be successful, the infantryman must be able to move undetected by his enemy. So let's start with noise discipline. Wear soft and loose-fitting clothing. Tactical skinny jeans are not a thing. Keep your silhouette as trim as possible. The more shit you have on your gear, and the more you look like a Black Hawk catalog, the more you're going to get hung up on vegetation as you move through it, thus making excessive noise. Keep your load-bearing equipment buckled and fitted properly to you, so your gear does not slide around on your body during movement. Secure excess loose straps with tape or fasteners on the packs that are carried and the gear that's being worn. Tape up any metal-on-metal contact points on your gear, such as equipment hooks or older parade slings, swivels, and keepers if you're using one. Canteens should be topped off. Half full canteens swish around during movement. If you wear a camelback, you can use your canteens to fill your camelback. When you suck out of the hose of a camelback, you're pulling the air out as well, and it's cutting down on the noise made by the water inside. Hand and arm signals are the preferred means of communication during a patrol. However, if you must speak, get close and whisper into the ear of others. Movement at night can be challenging due to the increased noise generally created by patrol members. If possible, follow a more open route at night to cut down on unnecessary noise. Light discipline is just as important as noise discipline. Every infantryman should have on his person a red lens capable flashlight. White light activation at night projects a large glare that can be seen from great distances away. With that said, try to limit all light activation while in the field. Red lens only minimizes the glare of the light and can still be seen by the enemy. If you must use the light for anything, such as looking at a map or checking your GPS, use your poncho to cover yourself up in order to help minimize the chances of an enemy observing the light or glare from the light. Another aspect of light discipline that is often overlooked is that of IR being used and observed through MVGs. We can no longer assume that the enemy does not have MVG capabilities, and certainly all near-peer threats will indeed have them. Running an IR flood or beam is no different to somebody that's looking through MVGs than it is to someone turning on a white light flashlight to someone without NVGs on. Often guys get careless and complacent when they enter into an area with low ambient light. IR floods and beams should only be used when absolutely necessary. Here you see a whole squad that is compromised by one knucklehead leaving his IR on during their patrol. Additionally, keep in mind that some things like watches and GPSs that might only put out a very low amount of light when looked at with normal eyesight will be intensified through NVGs. Next, smoking on patrol is a huge no-go. Not only does the very recognizable odor travel, the cherry from your cigarette can also compromise your light discipline. The last topic I'm going to cover is smell. Do not wash your ass and balls in the same smelly good stuff that you use to catch tail out in town. Any hygiene products you use should be odorless. If not, the only thing you'll catch is a round to the chest. It is well documented on both sides during the Vietnam War that many guys in the bush could smell their enemy long before they ever saw them.
Well, that concludes this episode of Infantryman's Guide over individual infantry camouflaging techniques. If you're liking what you're seeing, don't forget to check out my channel and subscribe. I've already done several infantry related videos and plan on doing several more in the future. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to leave a comment.